What is good? What is up? It's Jordan or Texans Thoughts, and I'm back with another video. Today we're going to talk about the trade deadline. I'll give you all some GM candidates as promised and potential free agents for the Texans to look at after this season as well. So if you enjoy, please do hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and comment down below your thoughts on the video. Alright, let's get into it. Now I've got to say, I'm actually pretty happy with how the trade deadline went. Yes, there were some players we wanted traded to recoup draft capital, maybe Whitney Merciless, Kenny Stills, maybe Brandon Cooks or Randall Cobb. But I think it's smart that we let those moves be made after we hire a legit GM to get the most value possible. Because we saw today, not many trades happened around the entire NFL. Teams just could not get on the same page. A lot of the sellers wanted high value. A lot of the buyers were not willing to go that high. And so that's why trades didn't happen around the entire league. So it's good that we did not get fleeced today. And honestly, this might be the sign of possibly a new identity for the Texans. You know, an identity that is no longer attached to Bill O'Brien. Because we didn't get fleeced today. That's a dub in itself. You know, who knows what Bill O'Brien would have done with the assets we had. But I mean, we had a reputation in the NFL world that we were a horribly run franchise. And you can't really blame them. But Joe Easterby, Rack, Cal McNair, whoever is running point today, they did well to stand their ground and not succumb to the lowly offers we got. Will Fuller, he's obviously the big name, and rumors were flying around. But the one thing that we did was we set our asking price at a second rounder and we stood by it. I can respect that. I can respect not getting bent over and fleeced into lesser value. I did not want to lose our top wide receiver for shitty value yet again. It's rumored that the Packers weren't even close to matching that second round pick. Apparently, they weren't going to go higher than a fourth, and they wanted us to pay part of his salary. That just ain't gonna cut it. Think about it like this. If we lose Fuller in free agency, there's a very good chance we'll get a third rounder, a fourth at the lowest. So we shouldn't accept anything lower than that. In addition, I don't even want to lose Fuller whatsoever. He's having a hell of a year as the Texans wide receiver 1 right now. Before, he would put up video game like numbers, but you kind of point to Nuke taking away the attention and drawing the cornerback 1. But that's all Fuller right now. He's putting up career highs in yards per reception and is on pace for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. What I also love is how he's becoming more than just an elite deep threat. He's the chain mover now, already having 21 catches for first downs. He's stepping into that dependable role that Watson needs. He is the wide receiver with the most on-field chemistry with Deshaun, and it shows. Fuller is not an easily replaced wide receiver either. His skill set is very, very hard to find. You know, an elite deep threat, but also a very good route runner that creates separation, getting open, and is now a chain mover. That's hard to find with a fourth round pick that the Packers were offering. He also can't replace experience and cohesion with Deshaun. We already saw how the offense has taken a hit with losing a wide receiver 1 in Nuke. Do you really want to get rid of Watson's next wide receiver 1 with Fuller? On top of how that would impact the offense on the field, it sends a bad message to Deshaun. It sends the message that we don't care who you're throwing to. We don't want to surround you with good weapons. That's what it says. And I don't want to send that message. We want to help elevate Watson's game, not bring him down by getting rid of his weapons. We do not want him to have the Aaron Rodgers problem where they're out here looking for wide receivers, right? Now, with no other trades happening, let's look at the rest of the season, and I'll give y'all my 3 top GM candidates as of right now. And first is Ed Dodds, assistant GM of the Indianapolis Colts and former scout and executive of the Seattle Seahawks. The man is a genius, and there's 3 main things that he brings that I like. Number 1, he knows how to rebuild a defense. He turned the Colts around from the 29th ranked DVOA defense in 2016 to the 4th highest DVOA in 2020. We need the most added talent on defense, and Dodds clearly values that side of the ball. And what's even more important is that he built that defense with limited capital. That leads to my next point about him, that he's a hell of a scout. With Seattle, he was responsible for drafting Russell Wilson and putting together the Legion of Boom. With the Colts, he was credited with Quentin Nelson and Darius Leonard picks. In addition, he was able to find starters and valuable depth pieces with mid to late round picks like the Texans have. You know, The Colts only had 2 first-round picks in the past 4 years, and they were still able to put together this defense. The Texans are in a similar position with limited capital, and let's look at what Dodds has done. You look at Kimoko Toure and Tyquan Lewis, 2 late second rounders in 2018. You got Rock Ya-Sin, a stud cornerback in 2019, plus Kari Willis in the 4th round, starting safety and kind of their Jay Reed, plus Bobby Okereke, 5th round, starting will linebacker and one of the better coverage linebackers in the entire NFL. And just this past year, they got Julian Blackmon in the 3rd round, who's one of the best safeties in that class, with 2 interceptions and 6 pass breakups already, while he's transitioned to starting in just their past 2 games. Dodds also succeeds in free agency. He's credited with bringing in Kenny Moore and Denico Autry, 2 pillars of that defense that he got for cheap. You get Dodds, you can expect the Texans defense to be revamped. The second GM candidate I like is Joe Horitz, Director of Player Personnel for the Ravens. The Ravens year in and year out always have successful off seasons where they draft the best player available and they get steals. Plus, they make smart moves in free agency. They are very good at analyzing their own strengths and weaknesses and knowing exactly how to improve. What really intrigues me about Horitz and the Ravens is how they are always looking to make small moves around the margins. They'll stockpile mid to late round picks, then trade them for established veterans like Marcus Peters, Calais Campbell, and Yannick Ngakoue. Moving on, and the third GM candidate I got for you guys is a bit of an underrated name in Scott Pioli. I really like Pioli because of his vast experience with numerous destinations. To me, that shows no matter where he goes, he makes shit happen and improves teams. That's how you can truly know that he's not getting dragged up by someone else in the organization who's the one who's really making the moves. But Pioli just kind of gets credit for it for being an assistant, you know what I mean? The fact that he improved the Patriots as Vice President of Player Personnel from 2000 to 2009, then improved the Chiefs from 2009 to 2013 as the GM, and then the Falcons from 2013 to 2019 as the assistant GM, that is 2 decades of great experience and learning from mistakes. Give me that for the Texans, please. All right, we hit the trade deadline, we hit GMs. Now let's talk 2021 free agency and look at some potential players the Texans should be interested in. I'm going to focus on what I think our biggest needs are and go from there. Obviously, we can't pay all these guys I'm going to talk about, but it's more of just giving y'all some options and names to look at going forward. Let's start with what I think our biggest need of the offseason is going to be, and that's the defensive line. What's losing us games right now? The defense. What's the worst thing about the defense? The run defense. So ideally, we can sign 1 edge guy and 1 interior guy, pair them up with Watt and Blacklock as the starters, trade Merciless, and that opens up playing time for the GOAT. And you also hope to continue to see growth from Momenahu, PJ Hall, and Grenard. So what guys should we look at? Well, I think we can go 2 routes. We can go the star route with Ngakoue, Barrett, or Dupree, or we can go with a couple role players. With the stars, Ngakoue, he's my guy, I can't lie. He's the youngest out of the 3 and has several years of top-notch production compared to Barrett, who some say is a 1-year wonder. I would love Dupree, but don't think he would leave Pittsburgh, and I think he's already found his home there. He's probably happy they drafted him and stuck with him when everyone declared him a bust. Whereas Ngakoue, he's been moving around this season with the Vikings and the Ravens, so he might not be as comfortable yet in Baltimore and want to see a future there, whereas Dupree does with Pittsburgh. And so Ngakoue might be more inclined to go somewhere else, and it would likely take a huge contract for Ngakoue to come here, but I do think he's worth it, and we can open up cap space with trades and cuts, so let's not just worry about that just yet. Some of the less heralded guys we could go after but would still be impactful are Tyus Bowser or Aldon Smith. Bowser's got tons of potential and is an athletic freak, and Smith has had a hell of a comeback with the Cowboys and has been their most impactful defensive lineman. I wouldn't be mad at taking a chance on him with a 1-year prove-it deal. Now, like I said, I also want an interior guy, and ideally that's one who can also rush the passer, but there's not really any of those guys this year. I think the Texans should look at 2 New York Giants, Dalvin Tomlinson and Leonard Williams. I don't think the Giants will keep both of them, as they also drafted first-round defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, who's playing very well. Ideally, we get Williams because he's the better pass rusher, but since they gave up picks for Leonard, I don't think they would let him walk. Now Tomlinson, he is a beast of a run defender. And he doesn't offer as much up in the pass game, but he's not as bad as Brandon Dunn and some of the other guys on the roster. He still brings the occasional bull rush to collapse the pocket. And he would honestly just overall be a huge boost. Some other cheaper options could be Shelby Harris, Tyson Alualu, and Rakeem Nunez Roches. Those guys are top run stuffers that are unheralded but play a key role on each of their teams. Now that we've addressed the defensive line, the next biggest need is secondary. Ideally the cornerbacks. I would love for us to sign Conley to a cheaper deal because of his injury, but there's actually a lot of other guys I like as well. The big name to look at is William Jackson III from the Bengals. The dude is a stud, but he doesn't get recognition because, well, it's the Bengals. If we can't re-sign Conley, I would love to go after a big-time guy like Jackson. He's a legit cornerback one and will cost a lot. He would kind of be in that star range, like if either we get a big fish like Ngakoue or a big fish like William Jackson, or we get a bunch of mid-tier guys, right? He would cost a lot, but he would be worth it, like I said. Two other guys who are dream options, but likely wouldn't choose us are Pat Pete and Kevin King. If we manage to poach them, it'd be huge. But some more realistic options are Akello Witherspoon or Sidney Jones, two young guys with promise and good size, but just haven't been able to stay healthy and play consistent. Then the safety position, I think this is an underrated need for the Texans because safeties improve a defense way more than they're valued at. Remember the last strong defense we had with Tyrann Mathieu, Kareem Jackson, and Jay Reed. They set the tone and had everyone else in order. I think it's important we get a running mate for Jay Reed and move him back to the free safety position. So getting a box safety like Keanu Neal would be ideal. We can get him for cheap because he's dealt with a lot of injuries, but I do love taking a chance on his upside as he is a legit top 10 safety when healthy. Some of the guys I like are Marcus Williams and Marcus May, two very talented young guys, but I do think we might get outpriced there. Now let's get to the offense and moving on to wide receiver. This is where, things could get interesting here. If Fuller, say he does get injured this season and he doesn't play up to my expectations, well, maybe we wouldn't want to continue with him as wide receiver one. Maybe we want to move on and get someone more reliable. And to replace that wide receiver one option, my number one guy is Kenny Golladay. The dude is an absolute freak and his game is very similar to DeAndre Hopkins. I want a wide receiver with his contested catch ability and someone who you can throw it up to and he'll bring it down. Watson has shown to succeed with those type of wide receivers, and I do think that's a skill set that we're missing right now. If you want to get complementary wide receivers, some names to look at are Josh Reynolds, Nelson Aguilar, and Brashad Perriman. Reynolds is quietly having a great season as the Rams wide receiver 3 and could be a cheap but reliable option with upside. Aguilar has revived his career in Oakland, and he's still got that elite speed that makes him so dangerous. Same thing with Perriman. He's shown with his time with the Bucs that he can be a legit problem with a legit QB. So depending on the head coach and the offensive coordinator we hire and what we want to look for in wide receiver, we've got plenty of options potentially in free agency. Now, the O-line free agent class is horrible this year, and I think we need help, especially at right guard, but the one and only name that intrigues me is Joe Looney. He's a versatile guy who can play all three of the positions, and when he stepped in for Travis Frederick for the Cowboys, he held up just fine. He's always been a backup throughout his career, so he could be had for cheap potentially. Alright, that's going to do it for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you like these types of videos where it's not film breakdowns, but just me talking to y'all, let me know in the comments below. Shout out all the Texans Thoughts team members. Appreciate y'all. If you guys want to join the team, hit the join button below the video. I just uploaded an exclusive video for team members detailing my dream off season for the Texans, GM, head coach, trades, cuts, free agency, and the draft, all of that great stuff. So if you're interested in that and more exclusive content, hit the join button. Alright, take care everyone, and hopefully the next time I see you, we better kick some Jaguar ass. Peace, y'all.